Hi folks, and welcome back to some more Hearts of Iron 4. Now, by popular demand, today we're playing the United Kingdom. We're playing in 1936 right from the game start, but with no DLC, no expansions enabled. And we're doing this for two reasons. One, to see if the base game still holds up in 2024. Do you need to buy all the expansions to have fun? I suspect not, so we're going to try that out. And also, if you're a brand new player, this game is really daunting to get into, especially if you're trying to control a nation like the UK, which has a huge global empire, and there are so many things and factors to take into consideration. So I'm going to take you through all of that bit by bit. You're going to see every single mouse click and button press, and I'm going to teach you how to play it, how to set it up, and just how to enjoy refighting World War II as the UK. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration as the UK. You've got this big global empire. Have a scan around the map before you start the game. Just see all the areas that are in pink. Decide the ones that are worth focusing on and are worth defending. And a little tip just to help you decide where you need to put your effort. Let me just turn the camera off a moment. Go and click on the resource button, which is over here at the bottom right, and then zoom in on places. You can see which countries produce the important materials, iron, chromium, but we're looking for things like rubber, and we're looking for things like fuel as well. You'll notice a lot of the fuel, and certainly all the rubber nearly, comes from the Far East. This is somewhere that's going to get invaded by Japan further on down the line. So have a strategy in mind to hold on to as much of this stuff as possible. There we go. We're back. Okay. So with that in mind, we're obviously going to want to hold Ceylon over here. And we're going to want to hold as much of the British Malaya as we can, really, because rubber's obviously important for trucks and aircraft, but fuel makes everything go round. So bear that in mind and decide whether you want to put a lot of resources into defending Hong Kong. It can be nice to have a base over there in the Far East to thwart the Japanese and somewhere for your ships and aircraft to patrol out of. But it can be a resource sink, so have a thought about that. It's not essential. There's no right or wrong way to play this. Everyone's going to have a different adventure through. We'll see what I do, and you can see if you want to do the same. So at the start of the game, what I would recommend doing is just grouping up all your military in the UK, sticking it in one big army, and just transporting the whole lot into the middle of the country somewhere so you can see what you've got. We will move that around and form armies of it as we progress. Now, you're also going to have a load of forces out in North Africa and out through the rest of the world, in fact. So we're going to need to organise these a bit better. So I'm going to gather this lot up here. I'm going to make a separate army out of this. We'll transport things to where we can find them. We're not at war to start the game, so we've got time to think and plan this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a new theatre, and I'm just going to call this Africa. And this way we can see where our armies are at a glance, and we can move things around, reposition. We can put an army into this theatre if we move them across, or not, maybe. So we'll see what we wish to do. But this is a good way of just making stuff easy to organise. See, we've got someone else down there. Oh, we've got a few people down here, actually. Let's get these organised. Stick them in the Africa group. That's excellent. And then we're going to have some others over here. Now, these guys, I'm going to form a different army with these again. We can put them in Africa. In fact, let's form a new army group with them. And we'll just call this one Africa Garrisons, which we'll do. And these are going to be used just to hold port areas. Have we got another one over here? No, we haven't. But all these ports, these are all areas that the enemy can invade. In fact, you can invade, of course, naturally along any bit of coastline. But if the enemy don't grab a port somewhere, then they're going to run out of supplies and starve. So holding the port is the only thing we really care about too much. So I think that's most of Africa. We're going to have some Asian forces, I'm sure. I know there's one in Hong Kong. There we go. I'll form a little group of this and new theatre. We'll call this the Far East. This is just how I like Far East. I think we better change that. Far East. This is just how I like to organise things. So you can do it differently, but this way I can quickly jump around and see where everything is and what I'm doing with them. So let's see if we've got any more troops somewhere. Oh, we've got a load of groups in here as well. So I will probably add these to the Africa garrison because they're going to be, it's technically in the Middle East, but that's fine. That's fine. Where else have we got soldiers at? Oh, we've got Gibraltar, right. Yeah, we've got Gibraltar. This one's an important one. So what I'm going to do, we could call this the Med. Do I want a new theatre? We'll put it in an army. And there's going to be some more troops adding into this. Like new theatre, I'm just going to call this the Med Garrison. Because these ones are particularly important, and I'll explain why in a moment. Have I put all those in? Yeah, I think I've put all those in. Right, okay, yeah. I misclicked there. Never mind. These guys can go in the Far East. Gibraltar, Malta, Singapore Fortress. That can go in the Far East as well. And who else have we got left in there? Penang Fortress, where's that? Okay, cool. That's fine, as long as they're in there so we can find them. And we'll see that our Med Garrisons. We've got Malta, which is just a nice one to hold. Now, you can see that this is going to be caught between, well, between Italy and us when the war kicks off. And we're going on historical focuses, so the war will kick off in this manner. This is a really nice place to hold because it's a good naval location. We can get aircraft operating out of here. And it just means it's a thorn in the side to the Axis and then resupplying and having control of the seas in the Med, which is really important. Also, Gibraltar. Why is Gibraltar important? Because if we hold it, then Italian forces, other than submarines, and Germans can't pass through the Straits of Gibraltar. So regular ships can't get through, and transports full of infantry and soldiers can't get through. And the same applies at the other end at the Suez Canal. So we're going to need to make sure we hold this. 2 locations, super important to hold as the UK. Like really, really, really important. And of course, we're going to have to defend all the home islands and everything else that we hold up here. So, that being said, we will quickly jump into the aircraft. I know this is a lot of setting up. It is a pain in the backside, trust me. But let's go through and... Now, this is a controversial one. I tend to instantly delete all the formed squadrons that we've got, which is absolutely fine. As long as they're in the UK, you get all the manpower back into the thing, and all the planes go into reserve anyway, so that's absolutely fine. I don't do the ones on carriers. We can leave them alone. All those are carrier planes, that's okay. So we've got stuff out in Singapore, which we don't want, so let's get rid of those. And I do this because I like to be able to form my squadrons and air wings where I want them later on with the planes that I want. So we've got stuff out in Alexandria. Some of those on a carrier, so we'll leave the carrier force. We'll set the Navy up in a bit, don't worry. And if I have deleted any squadrons there by accident, that's no problem. I should call them air wings, really. So we've got stuff out in Palestine. Have we got anything else wandering around here? You'll also notice that these are below strength as well. They're not at 100 aircraft. So that's just because we don't have enough. Where's this guy? Oh, he's up there. We just don't have enough at the start of the game. But we'll build more, so that's not the right one, is it? Hang on, let me just find that button again. Okay, there we go. There we go. Because we might not want squadrons out here at the start of the war. And yes, we can move them around, but screw it. I just build fresh ones up and train fresh ones, so that's good. So everything left are all on carriers. Perfect. That's fine. And now for the Navy. This one, all we do is we hold down Shift and we highlight every single little force that we've got. Do let me know if you're an experienced player, if there's a faster way of doing this to get across all the different fleets. And then we press this button at the top. We merge everything into one. It's going to be 235 ships. And we just let that happen. That's played out. We'll sort them out later. We'll move them to Scotland and we'll reposition them exactly where we want them later on. So that's the admin out of the way, starting the UK. I know it's a lot, but once we get this set up, trust me, this will be easier for you to play and control. And we've done the hard stuff now, which is really cool. Right, so let's have a look at the fun stuff. What we're going to research to start with, pretty much every Hearts of Iron playthrough, go to Industry, we click on Basic Machine Tools, we then click on Construction, and we would click on even more in here if we could, but we need to get those going first. So over into Engineering, we've already made a start with the UK, which is perfect. By the way, this is how the game starts. It's not, I haven't played earlier to get this set up. The UK is an advanced nation technologically, so they get a few bonuses to start with, including early radar, which is cool. We're going to go for mechanical computing, which increases our research speed. And that gives us one extra to play with. So we could get the Hurricane, which we do need fighters. I will talk more about the air strategy in a moment, because we're not going to develop everything in here, but fighters would be good. And over in the Navy, we start with 1936 destroyers. So we're not too far behind this. So this is good. The submarines, we're a little bit behind with those. That's okay. We don't need to worry too much about that. Just having a look to see if we're really behind with anything. We could go with better light tanks. We want to get to mediums fairly fast. Do you know what? I don't think there's anything that we can... we really have to worry too much about. These are easy to pick up. Let's go and get our early fighters. The Hurricane. The 1936 fighters. All right, let's go for civilian... Well, what we're going to do with our civilian factories. What are we going to build? Now, the UK economy is going to need some building up, but we're going to do that through focuses, and it's going to come along quite nicely. Now, at the start of the game, you can set them off building military factories or civilian factories if you wish. We're going to start with a little bit of infrastructure, somewhere where we can put a whole lot of... well, actually, it might be somewhere where we've got a lot of resources. Yorkshire's a good one, because the extra infrastructure will increase the amount of steel we get from here. We've got some aluminium over in Cumbria. Anything else? Nope, that looks like the big pile. So I'm going to take these two, and I'm going to actually put 2 in there. So we're going to build that to start with, and once that's done, we're going to saturate these areas with either civilian or military factories. The infrastructure bonus should, I think, if I got this right, make them quicker to build afterwards. But anyway, we get more resources from that, so that's cool. Resources aren't too bad for the UK, because we can trade with our puppets. You know, the rest of the... well, the rest of the empire, they're not all puppets, but the ones that we have we can trade with, and we can get a preferential rate on the trade, so it works quite well. So military factories, let's have a look. We are building light tanks to start with. We don't have a lot of factories. We will need artillery. We will need infantry equipment. They're going to be super important. We're looking down here, and we're seeing there's a whole lot of ships being built. These early submarines, they aren't terrible, but they're not amazing either. The light cruisers. Do you know what? We'll finish all these. What we're going to do is reduce the numbers to make sure there's only 1 of each, because we're going to actually build something better. But as these are half started, we may as well just do this. And then if we fill all this up, as one gets finished, the dockyards will be reassigned to the next. And by the time we've got through all that, we should have an idea of what we want and be doing something more interesting with the dockyards. Let's move our fighters up here. That is the Gladiator. Was it the Bristol? No, the Gloucester Gladiator. It was the Gloucester Gladiator. A biplane fighter, which did actually take part in the war. It wasn't hugely successful. I think it was relegated to training purposes fairly early on, but it wasn't awful. So what are we going to do? These interwar... Do you know what? I'm not even going to bother building these interwar bombers. Let's get rid of that and save ourselves the bother. We will have some light tanks, but to start with, we're going to make sure we've got enough of the artillery. And yeah, let's go infantry equipment. As we develop more military factories, they will automatically fill these grey gaps up. So they're going to be key to start with, and the rest we can just tick over a little bit. That's fine. So we're missing equipment for a lot of stuff. We'll fix that as we go. And a national focus. Now, one thing you guys asked me... Actually, I'm just looking at this. This is the base game. No expansions, no DLC. And the focus tree looks a little bit different. Because as I recall, once we get the... I think it's the... Is it Together for Victory or Onwards to Victory? I can't remember. It affects Britain and its empire. This changes. So I think you then have to choose between home defense and... Is there a colonial one? Or empire? And maybe not. Oh well, it's been a while since I've played. But one thing you guys asked me is to what do you focus on? And there's not necessarily right and wrong things, but there are some things which are like really important. And I always like to get an industry going fairly early on. You're a little bit limited with the UK because a lot of it relies on you actually going to war to get it going. But always have a scan through, have a look around and see if there's anything. Just read everything. There's plenty of time. You can play this on pause. Read anything and you think, oh, I really want that. That sounds amazing for the strategy I want to play. Work out what you need to get it and just go for it. Like most of this tree over here, this looks like getting war goals against parts of Europe that Britain historically didn't declare war on. So I wouldn't worry too much about this, but this line, certainly the first two, these are quite useful. Anything that gives stability is going to be really useful. So those can be quite good, and that just gets rid of our manpower penalty. So we want that. So we do want steady as she goes, and we do want to go down here. It's also going to give us weekly stability. That sounds like a really good thing to start with. That just gives us 10% base stability. It's kind of high, but this does drop depending on political decisions and on going to war as well. limited rearmament. That instantly gives us 4 civilian factories. I'm going to do that because having the civilian factories will enable us to get things built faster. So that's a good one to go for. I always like doing the industry and economy, so we'll go with that. Right, we've got no divisions in basic training. So what are we going to start with? The cavalry is something, as Britain, I'm going to filter out and we're not actually going to use. They're great for the nations. They're great for Germany, which struggles to produce enough motorized vehicles. Well, it's not that it can't produce motorized vehicles. It can't fuel them. So, and actually in the war, Germany did use a lot of horsepower for all its purposes. Britain doesn't have that issue, or shouldn't have that issue. But it's not a terrible option if you wanted something fast-moving but didn't want to invest in the industry to get motorized stuff. Let's see with our colonial. This is quite good. This is what we're going to use as a cheap sort of garrison unit. And while we're going to need other things, I'm going to get about, oh, let's go 12 of those to start with, and we will set them up here. This is obviously going to use our UK manpower. I'm going to show you how to use your empire's manpower, but we're going to need some military experience for that, so we're going to have to set our guys off training or put in a general down in here as a chief of army or as a military high command. So that bit will come later. But yes, just as Britain did historically, you can tap into the manpower of India in particular, and it looks like we can use Malaya as well, but yeah, vast reserves of manpower over there. So let's start the clock running. It looks like we're good, and we've got available planes and reserves. We have, so let us create some air wings over here, and we're going to put them near London so we can keep an eye on things. What have we got in reserve? We're going to want fighters, so we're going to put all 6 of those guys in. We've got some naval bombers. Oh, and close air support. So you'll see this is producing full wings of 100 aircraft, exactly what we want. The interwar bombers, I don't think I'm going to waste my time on them. If we had the Arms Against Tyranny DLC, we'll put them in training as well like that. Then we could have sold those interwar bombers. But anyway, we'll leave them there. They're fine. You can train squadrons up with them, and then they'll get replaced by better quality things as time goes on. But honestly, for the moment, it's not a concern. All right, let's have a look at our British Army over here. It's not looking particularly big, is it? We kind of need to reinforce this. But let's get... What have we got? We've got tank regiments. How many? 1? Okay, we'll put that over there for now. And it looks like we've got 2 lots of cavalry, which I'll drop into the other force. Which means that these guys, are these all infantry? If I click on template, click on infantry division. No, well they're not all the same. There's probably a reserve one in there somewhere. So I'll make them all infantry. And let's give them a commander who's pretty good. You'll recognize all the names of these guys. We're looking for an infantry commander ideally. Although it's not that important. There's one. Miles Dempsey, attack and defense 4, infantry leader experience 100%. Why not? Why not? And then what we're going to do is put those guys into training. Now, if you shift click while clicking on training, it means each one will stop when they reach 100% of trained. So that's great. Oh, King George V dies. His Majesty George V, King of England and the British Dominions and Emperor of India, has passed away. His quiet calm and devotion to his subjects saw the empire through both the Great War and the Great Depression. His son will assume the mantle as King Edward VIII, but there are already concerns that he'll be too independent of thought. Stanley Baldwin and Neville Chamberlain are preparing to ensure he will accept direction from the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. God save the King. Yeah, Edward VIII, not the best King of England. Or King of Great Britain. United Kingdom? I don't know what the entire title is, actually. Well, okay. Enough said about that. Moving swiftly on. These guys, this is going to be... We're probably going to convert this into an armoured division at some point. So let us get... let's see, who's good with tanks? Who's the best with tanks that we've got? Usually higher up the list. We can sort by attack factor. And there we go. General Oliver Leese. I've never heard of him. But he is a panzer leader, apparently an armour officer. So he's also a harsh leader, which gets attack +1. And politically connected. Okay, let's dump him in. Oh, there's Jock Campbell as well. He's not bad. He has a bit more defence. Also, look at the supplies that get used up. So anything that's going to be controlling motorised divisions, if they have a higher skill in this, then it reduces the amount of fuel and other things that they use. So We'll put him in. He seems okay. We'll get him on training. We'll also slap both of these guys into a field marshal. So put them into an army group. And we'll put good old Alan Brooke in charge of this. For now, we'll transfer things out, so don't worry. Now, over in Africa, we have got... Oh, look, we've got a cavalry brigade over there. Do you know what? I'm going to transfer those into that group. Let me just change the colour of this. You'll see me doing this before. We change colours of armies so that we can quickly identify them in the field and grab the ones out that we want. So, North Africa, 8th Army. What have we got going on here? I don't think I would rely on this to hold any lines anywhere, but we do have to hold lines. Do I have any soldiers down here, by the way? I have nothing facing this. Italy starts at war with Ethiopia. We're going to have to put something on the borders here. This is going to be quite tough, actually, so this is stuff to consider. Also, fuel looks really, really bad. We will fix that shortly. Let's see. So, Africa, well, we've got... No, that's not very good. We will put a commander in here. Cunningham, well, someone with good defense actually would be quite good. Who have we got? He looks awesome. He would hold off quite well. He will do. I'm just going to put defense force and I'm going to put it on this border with Italy. That's not going to be amazing over there. That's okay. They're going to put all the divisions over there. We're going to recruit some more. We've got a lot of borders that we need to hold here. Yep, let's do that. So we've also got the Africa garrisons. These guys, we're just going to put on training. Make sure people... Oh, did I put you? I did. I didn't put them on training there. Over in the Far East, we'll put those guys on training. And the Mediterranean garrisons, these need to be proper infantry divisions. It's going to use a bit more manpower and equipment, but these are really important places to hold. And we are going to have to hold Cyprus as well. We want to control the Middle East. That's the Mediterranean Sea, sorry. That's absolutely vital. Even to the point where I might consider... Yeah, I'm going to put a general in there. It doesn't have to be anyone amazing. Just someone to get some bonuses. What's that? Reconnaissance. Let me see. Jackie Smith. Max entrenchment +1. He'll do. There we go. So everything's rolling by quite nicely. And meanwhile, our Navy... Let's find our Navy. So let's bring them all the way into the Scottish Highlands. Let's get them up here. What's this place called? This is Scapa Flow. I was thinking of Skara Brae. Is that one? It just says the North Sea. Does it say? Shetland Islands. Anyway, they'll be heading up there. And now we can just take the time up a little bit and actually move things on. So yeah, you won't have as long a setup, I think, playing any other nation in the game. The UK is a big one. So what have we done? We've built our infrastructure, which is excellent. I'm going to get some civilian factories out now. Let's go. Cumbria doesn't have any. Oh, the infrastructure is still being built, but Yorkshire's maxed out for this. I think it is. Yeah, it is. So if I put some civilians in there, we'll just go 5. And then that'll keep them building for a bit. And then we'll use that extra industry that we build up to then rocket through and build some military factories later on. We've got time to build things. It's okay. It's a solid plan to start with, I think. Let's see. The remilitarization of the Rhineland. Oh, God. So Germany's going after that. We will issue an objection. France don't seem too happy about it. And I can understand that. And we've completed our limited rearmament, which is brilliant. Extra civilian factories. We can build stuff faster. So that will give us a research bonus for trucks. Do we need that? Do we need that? Where are trucks at in this tech tree? I don't know what that's going to give us because we already have it. And as far as I can see, there isn't a second one. So unless that relates, I don't see any benefit in this. I mean, we'll probably want to get it at some point to get the bonus for armor technology, but at the moment, that's a waste of time. So we can hold off. There's some more of this stuff we want later on, but at the moment, we have to wait for world tension to increase before we can do much more down there. Which takes us over to Steady As She Goes. This one's cool. It's a quick one, only 35 days. It's going to give us some democracy support, which never hurts, but it's also going to give us some more stability. And you see that's dropped. I think that's because of Edward the Eighth. Yeah, we kind of need to get rid of Edward the Eighth. He's a bit of a wrong'un. All right, let's just knock time down a bit and let's have a look. Let's have a look at our fleet over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new task force, and I'm going to put all the submarines to start with in there. And there's 40. That's cool. We put them in a new theatre. Excellent. They're just all standard submarines. And we'll call this one subs, and we will change the symbols. We'll give them an admiral. Let's do this. Let's find. So when you're choosing an admiral, it is worth just flicking around, seeing who's in there. This guy, naval speed and damage, and he's bold. He doesn't gain experience quite so fast. If we stick him in, and we go and click on this button, we can see if he has any upgrades. He doesn't. He doesn't start with any that you can choose. So put someone else in. This one's a gunnery expert. He has nothing. Let me put one of the top ones in. Because there are some that start with... There, this guy does. You can see what they start with. Now, we could go with this. We want someone, if there is, someone who's a lone wolf or anything like that. That's amazing. Or a silent hunt. Sorry, the sea wolf. Sea wolf, not the lone wolf. Sea wolf one. So he doesn't. So we can pick someone else. And it's just on the off chance that somebody... you see, that looks pretty good. Enemy fleet size penalty. That's more for, I don't know, rolling around with a surface raiding fleet, perhaps. Who've we tried? Tried John Tovey. Superior tactician. I don't know if the Brits start with any, but, you know, there's no harm flicking through these just to see what's available. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter too much. He doesn't have anything, did he? Because we're gonna get the experience in those. I don't know if the Brits do. Other countries definitely do, and I can't remember if we tried everyone, so yeah, we obviously tried him. Alright, I'm going to stick in someone... What's this? Navy Organisation +5. Enemy retreat chance. Screw that. Who's this guy? What's he start with? Spotter Lancer. Okay. They're not what I wanted. Sadly. I'm going to stick him in. So anyway, we've researched this. We may as well go straight on for home defence, because this just gives us some coastal forts. It's not the greatest thing, but it does open up these options for later. And it's a slower one. What does Reinforce the Empire give us? Stability, 10%. Do you know what? I'm going to take on the 10% stability. We'll get that up as high as possible to start with. It's kind of cool. Anyway, so at the end of that little messing about with submarines, we're going to change his symbol so we can see. And of course yellow, because, you know, yellow submarines, it has to be done. Has to be done. It's the law. If you play in Britain, submarines have to be yellow. If you know, you know. And you should know. Right, okay, so we've got 40 subs in there. We have no fuel at the moment. So, it's not good being out of fuel. Let's go and make a trade. Now, the best place to get fuel from is one of your puppets. So, who have we got that we can get? British Malaya would be a good one, because we'll get a better rate. But they're not offering a whole lot for trade there. We're going to have to take it from somewhere else. If I do this, they're going to give us 12. Okay, we can do that. We can afford that. It's slightly better, but it's not amazing. Anyway, that should help stock our fuel reserves up a little bit when it starts flowing in. Yeah, fuel's one of the big things to control in the game. And to have plenty of. We kind of need more than that. But that's fine. Let's see what we're building. So we got the infrastructure done in Cumbria, which is very good. That is going to be slow. I'm not going to go for radar yet, because we can get that through one of the focuses. Actually, we could go for radar abroad. One thing we do have to watch out for. Actually, this is a very valid point. Let's have a look at our naval bases, because there's going to be supplies flowing out of here and then going through the channel. I wonder, can we change that? We have a naval base here, right? Let me click on that one. No, we have a level 10 naval base. It's probably all going to flow through this. One of the expansions, I think it's the Man the Guns naval expansion, allows you to turn off a sea zone Now, as the UK, we don't really want all our supplies flowing out through here, because when Germany, and assuming they overrun France and the Low Countries, they're going to be able to bomb the shit out of this and send the submarines in, which is going to make it to a fight. We'd rather have this closed off and supply ships sailing out of Bristol and just going around all this dangerous coastline. It's not an option for us, so that's a shame. We do need to think about supplies over here, because that's going to be an issue. And we should probably... Alexandria is going to be the best naval base, I think. It's already 8 out of 10. Let's boost it up to 10 out of 10. It won't take too long to build. And then, not only does that give us a good base for our ships here, but it also means more supplies can come in. It's going to be something to think about, because Africa is a bit of a supply desert, sadly. Okay, let's speed time up again. Looks like we do need some more fuel. I think the problem is I've got a load of aircraft training, haven't I? So if I click on these guys here,